Hi there and welcome back to Japan, where I'm going to be giving you a reaction and review to WAGAKKI band's new song, Singing 4. And as always, in case you haven't been on this channel before, what we do is I'm about to give you the review now. The reaction that I've just done is viewable by pausing this video, clicking the little link in the description below, which will open up a separate YouTube player where you can watch the song along with me if you just want to see my initial reaction or if you haven't heard the song before. Otherwise, I'm about to give you the review, assuming you have seen it. So remember, if you haven't seen the song and you want to see it or see my reaction, pause this video, link in the description below. If you've seen that, and you're ready for the review, here we go. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so this song to me was a really interesting one, and really to set the scene for this, I have to say a few things first of all. So I'm going to kind of set the scene before we get into this review, because we've had a bit of a history with WAGAKKI band on this channel, in that it's a group who I started with, and believe me, this is useful context I'm giving here, because this song really does need to be viewed both in context and as something if you were listening to it fresh for the first time. But as you guys know, WAGAKKI band I followed originally on the previous channel before I shut down and we had to restart everything on this channel. I don't even know if we've got any fresh WAGAKKI band songs on this channel because it's been quite a while since Ignite, the last one. But anyway, I really took to this band straight away when I very first heard them with Senbon Sakura a couple of years ago now, simply because of the fact that it was something that combined a few sounds that really I've always believed at my core worked. It sounds that I've experimented myself in songwriting, writing both stuff for myself for fun and writing for other people, which is the belief that traditional Japanese instruments really do work in rock. And the reason I say that is because rock, essentially speaking, what's the core thing that is always in rock? Guitars. Distorted guitars. And if you want something to go along with distorted guitars, they have to cut through against a sound that is deliberately thick enough to fill up your ears. So you need something which is sharp and yet has a lot of tone. And you look at the shamisen and the koto especially, shakuhachi works as well, but shamisen and koto especially, they are the two sounds that I think of more than virtually any other instrument I can name anywhere in the world that cut through beautifully against the guitar. So I've always been a great believer that they are sounds that work fantastically for rock. And so hearing something like WAGAKKI band doing this, it's just something that took me straight up from the first listen, and combined with Yuko Suzuhana's voice, which is just amazing. I mean, I know there's differing opinions, but maybe hashtag no bias, maybe just my opinion, but I think that her voice is absolutely stunning. One of the best voices probably working at all. And the one thing that cannot be denied is her skill level. Certainly if you've been watching any of the live streams she did since lockdown, it is unbelievable the level of vocal control she has. So yeah, I mean, absolutely blown away by them from the start. So it's been, I guess I have been a bit biased towards this group in that I've had a personal feeling of liking their sound, and it's been virtually impossible to find them doing a bad song. They've had some of those Vocaloid cover songs, but they've also done a lot of their own self-written songs, which just brilliantly balance every member of the group. They work fantastically as a team. So that brings us on to their most recent song before this one, which was Ignite. And Ignite, as I said before, is not a bad song, but of all the songs that they've released thus far, is probably the one that I've listened to least. And that's because it struck a very difficult balance in that, like I say, I like variation in the group, and I love that WAGAKKI band, while sticking with their sound, have had ballads, they've had jazzy songs like, I always forget where it's Synchronicity, I think it's called Synchronicity, more jazzy songs, they've had heavier songs, I love that. But Ignite went in a direction where they were leaning more on the heavier side, and I think it focused enough on that it was kind of almost a little bit to their detriment. It was a great song, but it just didn't have the identity. It didn't stand out as a WAGAKKI band song. And the more rock you go, the more you go into a theatre of music that has a lot of competition and is very hard to stand out within. So to me, it just didn't bite as much as their usual material. However, when we listen to Singin 4, they've kind of gone back a little bit, or at least, I don't know chronologically what order the songs are recorded in, if they're for the same album, I assume. I try not to pre-research, so everything's a fresh review. You guys as always tell me in the comments. But this feels like they've stepped a little bit into more of their safety zone here. So in a way, yes, I guess we could be critical and say that this doesn't really demonstrate any variation or anything fresh from WAGAKKI band. And as always, I'm willing to be fair on this channel and be balanced. And so if that was someone's critique of this song, well, it's just WAGAKKI band doing another WAGAKKI band song and doesn't feel that special, I would be willing to accept that as a fair critique. However, that would still come along with the fact that it's therefore held up by the fact that what WAGAKKI band do at their core is extremely good, and this is extremely good again. One of the things that really stands out is how many sounds there are, and yet how fluid their songs sound at their best, and this sounds ultra fluid. The song was clocking in, let's just have a quick look again. It was almost 4 minutes, wasn't it? 3 minutes 43. And it felt like half of that. It just flowed so nicely and so smoothly, and yet there's so many sounds happening at the same time. I loved how it came in with that. The guitar intro actually sounded incredible. The thing it really reminded me of was the Yanakoto Soto Mute song. I think it's called Eni. The one which basically is filmed in like a field with the camera flying around the field. That's what I remember from that. But that was a really catchy song, that YSM song. But it had an intro that sounded really similar to this. That kind of very affected but kind of cool sounding guitar picked intro. But then this goes in a very different direction. This becomes very big and anthemic. You have your woes. I think someone said it's like the millennial woe is what it's called. I always think of it as being the fact that it was always related very much to the Offspring. They were known to always put woes in their song, which worked very well for international audiences who couldn't speak English, but did also make everyone take the mick a bit. So yeah, it had the sort of woe value, but that's now something which is more tied in, especially in Japanese music, it's more tied in with anthemic songs. If you're going to do a big anthemic song, same thing, because you don't need to know a language to go, whoa. As a result, it has that sort of international stadium song for everyone feel. And that's definitely what it felt like they were going for here. And like I say, I get the feeling that this song almost definitely was written as an anthem for the Olympics. And that, again, would tie in with that. It's something where even if they're playing to a Japanese audience or to an international audience, everyone can get their woes going. I really hope that this both is for the Olympics and that the Olympics does happen in 2021 and that this is used, because if that's the case, this is the whole reason why I said I wanted WAGAKKI Band to be the band who do the music for the Olympics, because just how brilliant would that be? How fantastic would that sound, having a band like this who can do a song that everyone can enjoy and at the same time can demonstrate the quality of Japanese music, of Japanese singing, of Japanese instruments, can add something like that, who can genuinely create a fusion between the traditional Japanese musical style and modern contemporary music. How brilliant would that be? I know maybe you could get something a little bit more appealing to general audiences if you went for a pop artist. Like there was I remember it was at the last Olympics, wasn't it? The WAGAKKI Band, I think, in 2016 did their song for, I think it was TV Tokyo, I think. And it was a brilliant song, but obviously that was just played in Japan, so I didn't really have a chance to grapple much with the international audiences. But then I think it was Nami Amuro, I think, did that song Hero, which was much more pop, probably a bit more catchy, but just said nothing about Japanese music, and frankly, in my opinion, was pretty irritating. So to be honest, I want that little boldness. So I know this might not, I don't know. I mean, in the tags, it says something about Tokyo singing, the hashtags, but I really want this to be related to the Olympics because I feel this deserves it. I feel this is one of those songs that will really have that impact and really do something for Japanese culture as well. So yeah, as I say, that's part of what I feel about this as well. When I listen to it, I feel that the Japanese instruments, as, like I say, in the best WAGAKKI Band songs, are being used just right. You're getting a real feeling of, you're hearing those traditional instruments. You're really hearing them being used in the way where they're punching through when they need to. And I always say it about the best WAGAKKI Band song, sorry to recycle this point, but they punch through to the front when they need to, they go back to the back when they need to, and just everything works like a smooth, well-oiled machine. Not just everything flat, but everything moving around like a school of fish swimming in the sea. And I just love that fact that at no point does the song sound like it's tripping up on itself. No point does it feel like it's stumbling or confused or trying to find places for instruments where they don't belong. Just different sounds are occurring at different times, and every time they sound perfect. Like, for example, when you have that shakuhachi solo, which is just, I love the shakuhachi solo, beautiful. But as that gives way for the shamisen, which is a brighter and not quite as thick sound. Like I say, it's a more sharp sound. Shakuhachi's a lower and fuller sound, which is why there was more room in the backing arrangement given. There was less guitar at that point, so that the guitar and the shakuhachi weren't interfering with each other in the mid-range sounds. But the minute it goes over to the shamisen, which is a slightly higher pitch sound, then the guitar comes in and gives that smooth sort of held guitar line underneath, which therefore covers and thickens things up. And it's just the fact that everything's so well executed there. Not every instrumentalist isn't trying to be heard all the time. They're playing as a unit, playing as a team, playing as a band. And what that comes around to in the end is the most important thing. The song has great writing. Yeah, okay, I'm willing to accept, again, being fair and even-handed, I am willing to accept that nothing about the writing here is hugely game-changing again. As I said, I know it's fairly WAGAKKI band doing WAGAKKI band, but the melody is brilliant. You can't deny that the melody is brilliant, especially being sung in that voice as well. You can kind of make even the most sort of normal of melodies sound amazing. But it's a catchy melody. It's easy to follow, flows beautifully with the music happening underneath, and the chorus is a good enough chorus that it'll get caught in your head. It's good enough to be anthemic. Again, yeah, I know this is no Hey Jude, this is not going to be the catchiest song of all time, but it's catchy enough to serve, I think, as a memorable Olympic anthem, especially with your woes. If you have the correct woes in the background, then you can secure it just by, like I say, the fact that a general audience will be able to just woe along with it. It has that crowd quality, it has that quality, as the video kind of alludes to, where everyone can be together in woeing with WAGAKKI band and with Japan, I'd like to think. So to me, this was just a really beautifully executed song. Yes, I'm willing to accept that it doesn't break any new ground in songwriting. It doesn't break any new sound in WAGAKKI band for their own timbre, for their own style. However, I think it uses what they do to the best of its advantages. And like I say, I would like to think this is in some ways going to be something which will be broadcast through the Olympics, or in some way that's going to get it a wider audience, because that just feels like what it's designed for. And it feels like if it was not doing that, it would be a little bit of a shame. And if it was doing that, it would probably excel, because that seems like its natural environment to be heard in. And the big spectacular looking video as well. I know they always do big spectacular videos, but Ignite was a fairly simple video. Actually, it was probably their least spectacular as well. It's very direct. But a big spectacular video like this as well just gives me hope that this is what they're going for. So, yes, like I say, I enjoyed that greatly. But as always, I hand this over to you in the comments to please give me justified, interesting opinions and open up a bit of a discussion, because as is always the case, I might have worked with music my entire adult life, but music is subjective to opinion. Music is only as good as the listener thinks it is, so your opinion is just as relevant as mine. I just happen to be the person sitting in front of the camera right now. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'll try to get back to you with many of you as I can. It's been a little bit difficult keeping up with the comments recently, but I will try. And please remember, you can like, you can subscribe, you can follow any of our social medias as linked in the description below if you want to check out more Japanese music discussion. And all I can really say on top of that is a big thank you to those who followed our Patreon. I know this channel's been through a lot recently, and you guys have really been the reason why we've managed to keep going despite all of that. So massive thank you to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for making it through to the end of this video. So until hopefully I see you soon in Japan for the next one of these, for now, ciao ciao.